I'm Mark Seifter.
And I'm Linda Zias Palmer.
And this is Arcane Mark.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Arcane Mark. Today we're going to be building an adventure together with all of you.
That's right. So, when we're building an adventure with chat, it's going to be like when we built a character or we built a monster together in the last 2 episodes, which are still up on the videos. We're going to go through an adventure design section from the Game Mastery Guide of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and we are going to ask for your feedback and ideas from chat, and then that is the adventure that we're going to build. So, when it comes to adventure design, just like everything else, the first thing that we need for the adventure is some kind of concept for the adventure. If we don't have a basic concept or idea of even vaguely what the adventure is, then we don't know if it's like delving into a labyrinth maze versus like a extremely social mystery at a gala, or like a war with a skeletal army, or like the adventures can be very, very different. So let's come up with an adventure concept to get you started, because that can be pretty broad. There are some ideas for adventure styles in the Game Mastery Guide, so our concept doesn't have to be only a style, but it could include styles like dungeon crawl, gritty, high adventure, horror, intrigue, military, mystery, planar, or romantic. Those are possible styles that we can use for the adventure that we're building. So just put any concept or idea you have for adventure in chat, and we will vote to see which adventure we are going to build together. Let's see what we've got here for adventure ideas. Meanwhile, while you're putting out any kind of basic adventure idea or concept in chat, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do with adventure design.
Well, we have our first one, Haunted Ship Graveyard.
Haunted Ship Graveyard. Alright, that's a cool concept.
Idea.
We'll put that in the vote. So, when it comes to an adventure, we are obviously not going to be literally writing an entire adventure during this stream. That's why I changed it from build an adventure to design an adventure, because we're just going to sort of design the skeleton of the adventure. And if you want to run this adventure by the time we're done, you can take that and you could just flesh it out and put in the rest of what you need for the adventure. We did it. Don't do something else. Oh, okay.
I'm opening a notepad file as opposed to
Perfect.
Chrome. Just going to try everything that I can to make it not break.
All right, everyone. Sorry for that encoding error. We've never had that before.
Forest and heist in an extra-dimensional library.
Oh, heist in an extra-dimensional library. And then do you have the?
And then there was the
it was like
haunted
the haunted ship graveyard.
Not on this file, but I'll go ahead and grab that.
Okay.
Haunted Ship Graveyard that I had in Chrome.
And
Haunted Ship Graveyard.
The next adventure
I've
concept.
been streaming for 3 years and I've never seen this particular error.
I've never seen it in all those years. The next concept is PCs are given a letter to take to another city by a magical paper business, which is the heir to the business hidden in the letter magically. The pieces are hounded by rival companies, paper assassins attempting to take the heir ransom. That is the concept.
I'm going to copy paste that one. That's really cool.
Alright. So, that is several good concepts. If anyone else has another concept that we can add on, then we will. Otherwise, we can vote between those. Thanks for sticking with us, those who did. It was interesting. Actually, a lot of people stuck with us through while it was down, and then I think left after it got back up. Although it might have been like a refresh.
Yeah. Alrighty. I'm going to stick those 4 ideas in there. Please vote for your favorite.
Vote for your favorite adventure idea. Just put 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat, And we will determine based on that. So we've got a 3, a 1, a 4,
a 2,
another 3, first time chatter, Chris Abbott 91,
another 3. Welcome, Chris.
All right, it looks like 3 has a significant edge here.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's do a haunted ship graveyard. Yeah, there's another 3. We're gonna do an adventure in a. It's gonna be the concept for this adventure is a haunted ship graveyard adventure. Now, yeah, concept can be anything. It can be a place. It can be like a villain and their scheme. It can be a crisis. That it sometimes you can think of an adventure as like a concept as like when X, the PCs must Y.
Yes.
So that also, if we phrase it like when X, the PCs must Y, that also will give us some kind of a call to action. So, like, in this case, maybe there's not a greater hook than just like they come across it. So, like, when the PCs uncover a haunted ship graveyard, they must explore it if they wish to find the secrets within. Is a simple sort of just like, oh, you found a cool place, let's go into it. But there could be more to this haunted ship graveyard than meets the eye. There could be like some reason that the PCs have gone to the haunted ship graveyard, or a
there's an idea in chat. From Aquatic Demon, which is very fitting. What if the haunted graveyard is run by a necromancer who shuts the lighthouse off to get fresh bodies?
That's a possibility, right? So that ships have just sort of not been coming back to the town nearby, or several cities. They've just been going missing in a Bermuda Triangle type situation, and so the PCs are hired to investigate what's going on. And so when they get there, they discover, first of all, a haunted lighthouse that turns out to be the lighthouse that the necromancer has been running. And they find the necromancer who started the whole thing in the lighthouse, is what it sounds like from what I'm seeing in chat. And it's one of the cases where you actually find the person who's behind it before you complete the adventure. Because the necromancer has created this haunted ship graveyard that has... We know that's the seed. So the graveyard has actually gotten out of hand for the necromancer. So first, you get to the haunted lighthouse. You find the necromancer and the necromancer's notes, or you can question the necromancer. And you discover like what the necromancer did and why while fighting the necromancer's undead creations in the lighthouse. And I
see, for another idea, there's a gang of ghouls who reap their dark harvest when ships run aground. So that could be why this got out of control in part.
So, or it could be part of the haunted ship graveyard that formed.
Yeah.
So, after you defeated the necromancer and you find out the necromancer has been just turning off the lighthouse to intentionally cause havoc, the PCs go to that nearby ship graveyard in that Bermuda Triangle-like area where all of the ships have gone missing, and there they are able to find, according to what we have in here, that it has been inhabited by several different groups of creatures that are in there. So
there's Storm Hag calling up storms.
Storm Hag.
That's part of that. That could be why it got out of control. In part, is like a Storm Hag started edging.
Probably like a coven with a Storm Hag and a Sea Hag, at the very least. Maybe 2 Sea Hags and a Storm Hag, creating storms. And Ninja Slayer says that the necromancer may be a siren necromancer. That could definitely work. And then there's this Hag Coven. Hag Coven has like made their... Also, like, Siren with the Graveyard of Ships is a very Final Fantasy V callback-y thing. So, in this graveyard, there's like the covens sort of have like made their territory. There's ghost rangers, according to chat, that you could sort of find that may have been
ghost rangers.
Yes, There's ghost rangers.
Maybe from one of the ships that was wrecked.
Yes, and then there's ghouls, aquatic ghouls, lacedons that live in the haunted graveyard as well. They are scavengers who like mostly don't attack, but eat the bodies of the people who are killed by like the spectral haunts and ghosts that are throughout the graveyard. So
maybe they mostly don't attack, but if the PCs start getting rid of the haunts, then they become agitated.
Or they might be a like an almost like low or trivial encounter, but that are willing to attack the PCs after the PCs get injured from another fight.
Oh yeah.
That they just like they're like you were weakened, now let's give it a shot from some of them, and just. Also, that there can be one time they fight, but the PCs could like see their eyes peeking out of the water just like constantly throughout the adventure, and then you just get this ambiance and this feeling where it's like, okay, you could probably beat these guys. I guess we should figure out the level that the adventure is for. You could probably beat them, but they're always watching, and if you slip up, they're gonna come out after you.
Well, that's part of what gives them the feeling of being watched, but there's also all these lost souls that are around them. As do the lost souls. I'm thinking there's some creepy mist going on here in this graveyard.
I think that makes sense. That's probably why they needed a lighthouse to begin with. And so one of the things Game Master Guide says is to get the theme and feeling that is elicited in this adventure, like the emotional arc, in addition to the narrative arc. And I feel like loss is one of the themes of this adventure, because like the necromancer just was trying to gather bodies, the siren necromancer, and then wound up causing even more havoc and destruction. Maybe even more than the siren necromancer really wanted to do. Didn't want to create a ship graveyard that would like draw everyone there. Just probably wanted a certain number of bodies to use for experiments. So when we look at the adventure styles from the adventure recipes section of the Game Mastery Guide, this adventure out of all of these is possibly a horror adventure. So it says it can have a short voyage on foot, 2 to 4 creepy areas to investigate. So our creepy areas are the haunted lighthouse and the ship graveyard, which has multiple sections in it, such as like the covens, like hangouts, and the just the overall haunted ships that are like interlocked with each other. The coven might have like a cave that
speaking of the coven, while the tendency of this area to mist a bit, maybe one part of why they needed the lighthouse, when you've got a coven of hags, including a storm hag coming in, they could definitely intensify that situation.
Yes.
Significantly.
I feel like there also might be an aquatic zombie troop that's like the regular zombie troop, except for that they can swim, that just tries to pull you into the water.
Some folks in chat are talking about what might be going on in terms of the level here.
So yeah, the Storm Hag is a little bit level 5, and if you have a coven with them, they're going to actually be Sea Hags, I think, are weaker than that, but when you make them a coven, they wind up getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll wind up. We have it. Sea Hags are 3, so there's at least an encounter with a 644, but I believe they go up 1 level each when they're in a coven.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically would be a 644 is similar to 2 6s. Which would mean that if you were like level 5, I believe that would be a severe encounter.
Yes.
So we've got to be at least level 5, and chat was saying possibly 5. So if we want the Coven of Hags to be like the final boss, we could be level 5. We could also probably be level 6, but we know we're around in that area. So if we have, Aquatic Demon suggests that there might be a sailor who survived and is very traumatized. And hey, you know what? If you've been reading the adventure seed for horror, it does say that you have 1 to 2 social encounters to break it up. And that was one of the things we didn't have. So that is a perfectly cromulent option here.
Maybe they could have barricaded themselves in, like, a room on one of the ships that had some kind of holy properties, like it was being used as a shrine to a deity, and that's why it repels the...
That's right. So the zombie shambler troop is level 4, so we could have, like, 2 aquatic shambler troops. That
also would give the PCs a safe place to rest if they were being overwhelmed by the encounters,
That's
which
right.
is good to have.
And a Lacedon is an aquatic ghoul. It is only level 2, that's why they're not going to attack unless the PCs are weakened, because they're pretty weak compared to these level 5 or 6 PCs.
Yeah.
But they are willing to do so when the PCs are weakened, and they're just generally there for ambiance. Meanwhile, the Ghost Rangers that we saw could be similar in statistics. Let's see. So, the Ghost Pirate Captain is level 8, and we should definitely use that from Book of the Dead since it exists as another kind of boss encounter, maybe on one of the ships, since we said that the areas are the lighthouse, like the overall ships and, like, the Coven's hideout.
So if we want to, I feel like that means we should make them level 6, then, so then we can have the Ghost, because that would make the Ghost Pirate Captain a moderate encounter by itself.
And then,
right?
Yes, we can also add Ghost Commoners for the Sailors, which are level 4 as minions.
Well, if we want that, yeah. Then
if we want the captain to be, like, the severe boss of the ship area.
Yeah.
Because it does say in the horror seed that having, some harder encounters makes sense. It says possibly one extreme if you do it right, but maybe not. It also even says in horror that there wouldn't necessarily be that many combat encounters. If it's only a 1 to 2 session, there might only be 3 encounters. Ours is a little bigger than standard for horror, so we might want the severe encounters to be the Pirate Captain and the Coven, and then we have moderate encounters with the Necromancer, and potentially also there is a ghostly mob that is from one of the Pathfinder Adventure paths that is a troop of ghosts that we could have. It is also level 8 though, so it's also fairly difficult. We might not want to have that many solo 8 opponents unless we are level 6.
Yeah.
In which case, for level 6, we can have this ghostly mob be a mob of sailors. We can have an encounter with the Ghost Pirate Captain.
And then because we are level 6 at that point, the Ghost Pirate Captain could have some weaker ghost minions.
That's right. And the Coven could have some additional support as well, or maybe some traps that they have in their area. And then that would allow the Necromancer to be, let's see.
They also could have, like, some environmental, traps and environmental conditions going on that complicate that, like with the mists and the fogs and things like that.
Yep. So, the level 5 Necromancer stat block is probably not high enough level for us here.
But we need to customize anyway because we know we're going to have a Siren, so they're probably going to have, like, some Siren abilities.
That's right. So, they could have some Siren abilities potentially. I think that Siren actually was not converted from PF1 to PF2, so we can just kind of statistically use something that is, vaguely has we would use something that vaguely has the sort of abilities from PF1. Siren, probably grab the Harpy song, and put it on there. And then use some of those abilities that are in the Game Mastery Guide Necromancer, but up their Wizard Prepared spells to probably 4th level with a little bit of Siren-y stuff and call it good.
You might also, like, get rid of the Stench of Decay because that kind of thematically contrasts with the idea of drawing people in from the Siren.
That's true. Or unless it's like that, the
that
Siren draws people in, but then
when you're
it
there,
still smells of decay. And when you break out of captivation, you realize that it's like a decaying necromantic Siren. I think that the Final Fantasy V Siren situation did something similar to that.
Oh, there's some more ideas in chat.
Let's see what we've got here. So people are saying love it, Linda, to your ideas. And,
let's see, Rotting Sails. Losing the video was because I pressed the wrong button. Sorry about that.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
Oh, no.
I think there's something, this has been happening in a few recent episodes. I think there might be, like, some hotkey to change it or something that I'm accidentally hitting.
That's possible.
Rotting sails, blocking line of sight, seaweed tangling feet, broken shells, giving non-sneaking.
Those are great environmental.
Great environmental ideas
to add.
I saw something above that too. That was another idea.
They were saying that Ghost Pirate Captain could be optional if they're unable to leave their ship, as it could be that you can, or at least one that like could be extra challenging, but you can always just run away by leaving the ship, and then at that point, that's like a way to avoid getting killed by the Ghost Pirate Captain if you're having an issue with it. I mean, that's definitely a possibility.
This encounter, you can escape by leaving the ship.
And
then something about lighting the lighthouse first.
I feel like that's probably a great idea, but what we can say for that is that in order to destroy the haunted ship graveyard and its haunts, you have to first defeat them in battle, and then the lighthouse, which presumably the necromancer like actually just broke. You have to like repair the lighthouse and turn it on.
Oh yeah,
that's how they died in the first place.
So that way you don't have an encounter. So that way the encounters can still be really tough, but you don't have the possibility of like, oh, you forgot to light the lighthouse and then they kill you.
To connect the arc together and make it so that you still fight them and then you light the lighthouse and that gets rid of it. Let's say what happened is the necromancer was just trying to turn it off like a little bit to get some bodies, but the hags wanted this. Like, to create the hags knew what was going on, and in fact, the hags probably, like, gave the idea to the Siren Necromancer, and they were the ones pulling the strings, but they managed to, give, like, a replacement lens that they're like, oh, this'll just, turn off at certain times, and you can get a few bodies, but they sabotaged it so that it would not only turn off more often, but, like, create this eerie light that created the graveyard for them, and that's the one that's in the lighthouse. But if you want the real lighthouse light, you have to defeat the hags, and they have it, and you can take it from there and swap it back in.
Yeah.
And once you've done that, then defeated the hags, and yeah, Aquatic Demon was also saying that they have the MacGuffin to fix the lighthouse. Bingo, that's right. And once you defeated the hags and you get the original lens back for the lighthouse, that can be capable of destroying the haunts for the haunted graveyard, and the ships can like slowly detach that have just somehow had like almost a magnetic pull to each other. The mist, the additionally thick mist, slowly clears off, and Philip points out that some of these people may be opposed to each other. Like for instance, the Ghost Pirate Captain. Like, maybe after you defeat the Ghost Pirate Captain and reduce them to a certain amount of low hit points, or even 0, like, they flicker back in, and they had been, like, wild and angry from being a ghost, but then they realize that they come to their senses temporarily, and you might be able to diplomacy them because they don't like the hags either, and, like, get some information about where the hags are, or find out, like, what the last moments of that ship, which they caught sight of something that might give you a clue about the hags. And meanwhile, the necromancer had already been tricked by the hags. So if you question the necromancer would tell you that there are hags, that they don't know where they are, who like gave them a bad lens for their plans. And probably sirens are good at like charisma and fast talking. So the siren might pretend that they never even intended to kill anybody.
Innocent lighthouse keeper, and we got like this lens that would help keep the fog away.
But it turned out it was evil, and really they did want to like screw over like 1 or 2 ships to get some bodies maybe every few years get a ship. But they just want the PCs to think that it was totally all the hags.
But the PCs could also find information in the lighthouse that indicates that that's not necessarily the case, and then they kind of have to decide what they're going to do.
And Ghostfoot the Ranger points out that if you had to walk to the lighthouse, because the first quest is to check out on the lighthouse, and there's just a little boat in the lighthouse, so you didn't bring a ship because you just went there, and you have to take that little boat out into the mist, and you see all the glowing Lacedon eyes from the water, even though they don't attack you. For a while. It can be a horror theme.
Taking a little boat that was by the lighthouse.
Yep.
They don't have a ship. And no one's gonna agree to sail into that mess.
That's right. I mean, it literally destroyed all those other ships and created a ship graveyard in a very short period of time due to the hag's magic.
So people are like, oh yeah, we could try to hire someone. Let's flash some gold in their face. It's like, no.
No. Nuh-uh.
You gotta do it yourself.
You're gonna have to do it yourself, and you've got this tiny little ship. Mm-hmm. Hope it's okay. And you can really play up, like, the ambiance and, like, the sound.
Yeah.
And there's a splash to the side. What is it? And that could be where the aquatic zombie swarm troop just comes up while they're on this tiny ship, and there's, like, no room to get out of there.
Oh, yeah, and then they, like, try to knock you, because we talked about, like, them trying to knock you over and drown you, so it's like they're trying to knock you off your little tiny boat.
Because 2 zombies, for a level 6 party, 2 Shambler troops is actually not very hard. Actually, now that we're level 6, there's probably should... Like, it's small boats, so we don't want more than 2 things, but it probably should be 2 advanced Shambler troops. That would still only be I believe, a low threat encounter, because you're level 6 and it's 2 level 5 monsters.
Yeah, but they also have that, like, aquatic ability,
Is that right? Or wait, no. It's, because a level 6 against...
That's a low threat.
Yeah, it's a low. That's what I thought. I got it right. So, it's still low, but you're, like, in a small boat, so you can't move out of their shambling onslaught area, because...
It's the entire ship.
The entire boat is within 5 feet of them. So I think that is worth making it... And, you know, if you fall into the water, you're at their advantage, because we've given them a 20-foot swim. Like, it's an aquatic shambler troop. It's the same as a shambler troop, except it has 20-foot swim.
Yeah.
And... So, it's got a sense of horror, even if the fight is not necessarily as hard.
Oh, and people are talking about, like, some kind of, like, a drag into the water, also giving them some kind of drag into the water ability.
That makes sense. I mean, regular zombies do have a grab ability, even if the zombie troop does not. And, so, we could definitely give them a 1 action. The problem with things that cost an action, I guess, is that they're slowed, so they'd have... But I guess their Shambling Onslaught for 1 action does a really high percentage of their 2 action Shambling Onslaught, unlike most troops that have 3 actions, where the 1 action one is bad. Their 1 action one is pretty dangerous anyway.
Yeah.
So we could give them a 1 action that sort of is similar to Grab, except for that you, since they have Grave Tie, which lets them move into your space, they kind of pull you into one of the troop's spaces, and you're grappled in that space, and they would pick to do that in the water.
Yes.
So they can do that to creatures, probably creatures who failed their reflex save against Shambling Onslaught.
Failed their reflex save against Shambling Onslaught. I see another thing in chat about from Ghostfoot the Ranger. What a fitting name for this one.
Yes. That said that there's maybe an encounter on the spiral staircase of the lighthouse that makes the encounter a little bit trickier, like, because the lighthouse is one of our 3 main locations, and so it probably has the encounter with the Necromancer, Siren Necromancer, who also probably has, like, their favorite creation that they've made at the top. It may even actually be, rather than an undead, it could be a actually, if we say the Siren Necromancer just is the Necromancer stat block from, with a Harpy Song, it's basically only has 3rd level spells, like, is the level 5 stat block more or less, and we add, like, small abilities to it. That not only means we don't have to make another creature, but then they could have a flesh golem as their, like, creation. So that's, like, sort of the boss of that area, and it would be a severe encounter. Where the creation is actually much stronger than the Necromancer, and in fact, it has a chance to go berserk. So...
the Necromancer needed the bodies to make and refine their flesh golem.
Also, just because I like the inventor feat... No, I created you! We can give that ability to the Necromancer and say that it potentially can try to stop it from going berserk as well.
Yeah.
No! I created you! So that is going to be at the top of the tower, but also you're going to want to see like these patchwork undead creations that are like sort of either at the bottom or like Ghost Ranger
yeah, like
said,
fighting on the
like
spiral
fighting on the staircase. There could also be a hazard that like comes down the staircase.
So in the spiral staircase of the lighthouse, is this like a spiral around the outside, and then that's what I'm thinking about, like, because like if you're to make a spiral staircase more challenging as opposed to a choke point, if it's one where it's spiraling along the outside and then you're being attacked by flying creatures as you're trying to climb the stairs.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Maybe the flying creatures are like maybe the flying creatures are like those flying heads undead. That are like heads that have been taken off of bodies that like the flesh golem needed parts, but it only needed one head. So that it's like the beheaded category, right? So there's things
it's like the severed head, flaming head, taunting skull. Skull.
Yeah, we probably want taunting skull because they're level 5. And it could be that these level 5 taunting skulls are attacking, and there may be hazards, because if the taunting skull uses incessant goading, you have to spend all your actions attacking it. And therefore, if there was a hazard that was like coming down the stairs at you, and it's like, oh well, this is easy to dodge, we can just run away. But if you're forced to attack the skull that's flying over you as like this thing that's falling down the stairs slams into you, and you can't get out of the way because you're attacking the taunting skull.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what we have here. So yeah, I think we've got that area. The shipsy area, once you get onto there, it's going to have multiple ships that have ghosts that are attacking you, and haunts, which is the type. For those of you coming from 5e, in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, there's a type of hazard called a haunt. It's different than a trap. They're more spiritual and can be exercised, but usually they reset automatically after like a day if you don't handle their unfinished business. In this case, that'll be fixing the lighthouse. So it's going to have tons of haunts. There's going to be treasure to be found in some of the ships. There's probably like ship's logs and other information that you can use to try to put some of this together. And of course, the one ship that has the ghost captain, who we're going to defeat, and then comes to his senses, or she comes to her senses, or they come to their senses, and tell you about the hags.
I was thinking I'm thinking about the constant chances of slipping and things like that. Maybe the idea is that like if the staircase is 10 feet wide, but like the outer rim is like more fragile or perilous or whatever, and the skull taunts you like and it's in the and it forces you to come like to the edge.
I think it has to be in your reach to do its
it has to be in your reach to do the taunt? Okay.
Yes. It can't actually make you move to a place.
Alright, never mind then. That doesn't quite work.
Yep. Unfortunately. But you can do it by, if there's a reason that staying in the same spot is really terrible.
Yeah.
They can still use incessant goading.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, it's an incapacitation effect, and the party is level 6. So maybe that was not ever really gonna work.
Yeah.
Because it's one where they're unaffected on a success and is incapacitation. So taunting skull works better when it is not. Maybe it's an advanced taunting skull.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's just one and the hazards, and then that way it's the same level as the party, so it can use its incessant goading. Or elite taunting skull. Steelbro says that the captain could also give treasure map as loot, which could point on the way to the next adventure. And Ghostfoot the Ranger says this is so encouraging to open the Pathfinder beginner box that arrived today, and has thanked us. You're welcome. Thanks for joining and helping to build the adventure.
Hi, ship.
I'm also going to point
a treasure map that points to a new adventure.
I'm going to point out to everybody that now that we've changed the Siren Necromancer to just be the Game Mastery stat block of Necromancer with like the Harpy song, that everything we're using in this adventure are pre-made opponents more or less, with like a few changes like we made to the zombies to be the aquatic pull you into the water zombies and the necromancer. So you don't even have to write new monsters and NPCs for this.
I think the one thing we didn't find what the ghost rangers were, but
maybe we decided that they might be just
mob of sailors.
That's
right?
the ghostly mob that attacks you.
That's
is
right.
the ghost rangers, and then the ghost commoners are basic sailors, because those are the ghost stat blocks that we've got. And then the ghost captain, pirate captain, is the one who's in charge of that. So I think we've got this. We filled out the recipe. It's actually a little bigger than the horror adventure recipe normally is.
But it's a horror adventure in several parts where you discover more pieces along the line. You think, oh, it's more than the lighthouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
This graveyard. Now
and
we're doing this
some horror adventures are this long. I've definitely played horror adventures of this. So this has 3 main locations, which are the haunted lighthouse, the general ship's area, and there's also the approach to the ship's area where you get attacked by the zombies. General ship's area with the ghostly mob, the haunts, the Lacedons are just always peeking out at you. The one ship that's still mostly intact that has the captain on it, and then the Hag's Lair.
Where is the Hag's Lair? There's someone just asked.
So the Hags they like this graveyard of ships. They probably caused it to form like near the sea caves where they live.
Oh yeah.
So there's gonna be some sea caves that you go to that are like right, basically in the same vicinity as the graveyard of ships, and it's basically part of the same general area, but you might not know where to find it exactly. But possibly talking to the pirate captain or reading some of the ship's logs, people may have seen like a flash of lightning or something that points you out to where the sea cave is. That's still in the mist and right in that area. So Chris Abbott said maybe the captain only has part of the treasure map, and so you're going to wind up needing to use research or diplomacy to find clues for the other parts of the map to uncover the Brotherhood of Pirates that used to exist. So that could be like the next adventure. There's all sorts of ways you could use it. It could be a piece of a treasure map. Like, what's more iconic than that? In fact, finding pieces of treasure map is how Jewel of the Indigo Isles adventure starts. I mean, heck, you could easily throw this into Jewel of the Indigo Isles. What's Jewel of the Indigo Isles? Well, I'm glad that you asked. There's a free first chapter of it on the link that I'm going to give you. It just literally has like a bunch of free ancestries for Pathbuilder and a first chapter of an adventure with pre-gens. It is a piratey adventure. You could absolutely throw this haunted lighthouse situation right into as a one-off into the middle of Jewel of the Indigo Isles once the PCs get to level 6. I think that the one thing that you would have a problem with is that you actually have your own really awesome ship at level 6 that you're on, so it would be hard to be like, well, you have to go on this like tiny boat because you have a good ship, but there's probably ways to get around that.
Yeah. So
Ghostfoot the Ranger says, should we name our adventure?
Oh yeah.
We can. We don't want it to give away the spoiler by being like the corrupted lighthouse lighthouse lens, because people are just investigating because a lot of ships went missing and investigating the local lighthouse.
Well, they know that there's like a creepy mist going on.
Yes. So
and then missing ships.
That's true. So let's see. Would we say something about like the creepy mist? Would we say something about so Umbral Corvus says it could be sailors in the mist. We could also use a like not echoes in the mist, but something that's even like a noun that's like something more ephemeral in the mist.
Yeah.
Screams in the mist, for example. And Ghostfoot says calls of the mist.
Oh yeah, calls of the mist.
Because there's a siren's call. Song in the mist, potentially. Oh, Upper Corvus said Song of the Mist at about the same time as well. Yeah, Dirge of the Mist. Threnody of the Mist. Honestly, Threnody of Mist is probably, like, if you told me that was already a Castlevania game, then I would say, okay, probably.
Okay, yes, it
probably is already a Castlevania game called Castlevania Threnody of Mist.
100%.
It'd be more surprising if Threnody of Mist was not a Castlevania game. And Ghostfoot the Ranger said it could also be the name of the ship, whatever we have this, like, Dirge of the Mist. So that it's, like, does multiple duties because it's the Siren Song, but the ship's name, the one that has the Captain that still Ghost, is Dirge of the Mist. Like, that sounds legit to me.
That.
I like it. So there we have it. We've got a name for our adventure. We've got our theme of, like, loss. We have like a synopsis, where you get to go, a bunch of different cool encounters. We didn't just flat out build every possible haunt and hazard. We know there's going to be one in the lighthouse that could cause issues for you. Maybe it's like something rolling down the stairs. There's going to be a bunch of haunts on the ships, and there's going to be environmental hazards. We have some ideas for that I think you got down that are in the Hag's lair.
There was one question there for the person that you rescue. The ideas other than like just having like a giant Sarenrae statue up front to let you know that that might be a safe area.
So for the person that you rescue, it's probably like you may see like signs that person is like warding off the undead. So like things that are like folk wards against the undead that have been like put up, and you're like, why are all these poles with like anti-undead things here? You can roll like a religion check or occultism or something to be like, these are like anti-undead folk remedies that like certain plants that undead are said to not like. And then and Steel Pro says it might even sound like a thaumaturge, and then you find out that maybe this sailor who had a little bit of thaumaturge abilities had survived by putting these things up to repel the undead, and you're kind of led towards it by that. And they also probably give you some clues that help you find out about the hags, because they might have seen the hags as well. Ghostfoot the Ranger said, I like that PF2 seems so tight and balancing, yet has a lot of space for thematic development. Good job. Thank you. That's what we were going for, because we want the game to do the balancing math for you so that you don't have to, like, worry that your deadly encounter is not actually deadly, so that you can spend time just being thematic and cool. That's where we'd like people to be able to spend brain space and like effort on, is that and make the other parts more effortless. Like, obviously it's never going to be completely effortless. So yeah, I think we have Dirge of the Mist.
Yes, Dirge of the Mist, level 6 adventure.
Yeah. So to all 28 of you, and especially those who gave so many ideas in chat, thanks for joining us and coming up with Dirge of the Mist. We will put Dirge of the Mist's, our Dirge of the Mist notes onto the Discord, which I will link here, because you probably want these notes if you are interested in taking a look at this, which is tiny.cc/arcanemark. So next time, we will build a magic item, okay, on Tuesday. So if you like building stuff with us, join us again on Tuesday. That's going to be at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Right here, and we'll make sure the encoding is not gonna like weirdly encode next time. And yeah, until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.